Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. Do you sometimes struggle with your parenting role? Do you notice that sometimes you're repeating patterns that you learned in your own childhood? Maybe you are carrying childhood pain that has not been healed, and you notice that it is showing up in your parenting with your own children. Perhaps you yell or get frustrated easily. Maybe you are directing them or telling them what to do all the time, and you notice that your actions are affecting your relationship with your children. Well, parents, I totally understand this. I came from childhood pain and I learned how to be a relational parent with my children. And I can teach this to you as well. This podcast is all about learning how to heal the childhood pain that we are carrying so that we can foster healthy relationships with our kids. Join us every week for a new show, and we will dive into the healing and the fostering of healthy relationships with our children. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm super excited because I have a special guest. Her name is Leticia Francis. She is a trauma recovery mentor, a keynote speaker, and the author of Survival Mode Exit Plan, known as a Survival Mode Disruptor. She helps high achieving women break free from survival mode and reclaim lives rooted in truth, ease, and power. With lived experience and a no-fluff delivery, Letitia's keynotes ignite healing, identity shifts, and unapologetic transformation. I love it. It sounds so powerful. Welcome, Letitia.
Thank you for having me, Anne. I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh my gosh, you have such a amazing story. So I just wanted to have you on the show because I think your story is so inspiring. So
Thank you.
how, tell me about your childhood. How did your childhood affect your adult life?
Oh gosh. I will tell everybody that I entered survival mode at 7. My parents got divorced when I was quite young. Both of them remarried, and both of their spouses wanted nothing to do with me. And I
Mm,
remember right before my mother got married, I asked my daddy why they divorced. And my daddy told me at 7, with a very straight face, that my birth was the reason for him and my mom's divorce. Um, and that created a whole headache scenario for me because I processed that as my birth broke up the most important relationship in my life. I hated myself, but I also processed a lot of anger towards my mom because of my father's narrative. And shortly after that experience, I was molested by a neighbor. And because of the narrative that I had been sold, I had really withdrawn from my mom, who I was living with at the time. So I felt unprotected and unloved because I didn't trust that I can go to her and tell her what had happened to me. That molestation, however, gave me something that I felt like I was lacking, and that was attention. So I kind
Can I
of
just, sorry, can I just ask you, did you tell your mom that
I
it
didn't.
happened?
No, I never told her. I actually told her about 3 months ago, um, for the
Wow.
first time. And so for me, as someone seeking attention, I got into a lot of trouble in school. And by the time I was probably 12, I had lost, no, I was 12. I had lost my virginity to rape. I was then groomed by a man that was more than twice my age, and I ended up in a relationship with him at the age of 14. And that was a highly abusive relationship that ended as a result of me being stabbed. Um, so all of that rejection and abandonment and emotional neglect that I experienced kind of just carried through with me into my adult life. I was a person who thought after my stabbing that my life would just magically go back um, to normal because I left this person, and I never recognized that I actually had to do work myself. And it
Right.
took me probably 18 years to start piecing my life back together after my stabbing. What that looked like was two highly volatile relationships with drug addicts.
Mm.
Um, the last one landed me in jail. I got arrested on my corporate job because of what my boyfriend was doing. So yeah, my childhood birthed a lot of dysfunction in my adult life.
Mm.
Um, Simply because I didn't feel like I had been loved enough.
You're right. That pinnacle moment when you asked your dad why they were not together, your parents were not together, and then he said that it was because of your birth that caused problems in their marriage. Like you as a child, you have a message about that, right? About
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
your about your worth. You know that maybe did you say like I'm a mistake? Like,
I definitely felt like a burden.
yeah,
I wouldn't say mistake was the label I gave, but I felt like I was a burden. Um, and I felt like that for many years because I have a huge personality. I am a storm in a teacup. And that burden narrative was perpetuated with almost every adult that I had in my life growing up. Teachers labeled me, you
mm,
know, parents of my friends labeled me.
mm,
It was just like I was too much for everyone that came in contact with me, which then, reiterated, you're a burden, boo. Like, you're
yeah,
just in the way.
yeah. And you were looking for attention, right? But then you were
Absolutely.
getting negative attention. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then what's your relationship like with your parents now?
I have a great relationship with my mother. I have not spoken to my father in nearly 10 years. And
Okay.
I will never speak to him again.
Yeah.
His narrative is still the same 40
Yeah.
years later. I later learned that the real reason for the divorce was my daddy was cheating. And to hear him many, many years later tell somebody the exact same story that he had told me when I was 7 was the end of my relationship with him because there
Yeah.
was no ownership for his part, the part that he played. Um, and that was unacceptable, knowing the residual impact of that conversation in my life.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, that's understandable. I'm glad you have a good relationship with your mom, though. Um,
Yes.
tell me about motherhood. Like you said that have found healing in motherhood. What what
Yes.
is what does that look like?
So, a huge part of my healing journey happened after I had my first child. And it was because I didn't want to mess up my kids. I did
Mm.
not want my children to walk a millimeter in my shoes. And that forced me to take time to unpack all of the things that I had spent many years stuffing, decades stuffing, because I love my kids enough to grow and be a better person for them because I want them to experience life very differently from me.
Mm.
I thank my children every day. They are the reasons I'm an entrepreneur. They are the reason why I anchored into my healing journey. And they are the reason why I get up every day and do my best to be a better version of me.
Wow, that's so inspiring. I relate to your story because that is the moment for me when I decided I have to be different. I have to change. I don't want a repeat of this with my own children. So, so amazing. So how did you learn about like healthy relationships, right? Because you didn't grow up with healthy relationships. So did you have models to show you what is a healthy relationship?
My so while I had issues with my parents, my family unit, particularly on my mom's side, are very close. When I say a level of fortitude, my family is a family of extremely strong women. And so they modeled that a lot for me. I think the reason why there was a disconnect for me growing up was there was a lot of shame associated with my journey and the way that I showed up. Like I knew that I was acting out. I knew that I wasn't living up to their expectations. So I probably intentionally created a divide just so
Yeah.
that I didn't have to hear their opinions. But I think, my mom's family, great relationships were forged, and I've watched that most of my life. Once I was able to let go of the shame associated with my journey, it allowed me to foster better relationships with my family, particularly those women on my mother's side. And I think that has helped me in my healing journey and in my self-love journey as well.
Yes, yes. Wow, that's so great. I believe that there's that people will come to you, even though like you might be living in dysfunction. There will be evidence of healthy relationships in your life, right?
Mhm.
And I felt that with my aunt. My aunt, my mom's sister, the youngest sister, she embraced me. And even though she didn't live where I lived, she did write me letters. She sent me every month without fail Norman Vincent Peale readings, biblical readings to inspire me and give me hope. And honestly, that is what got me through a lot of what the pain, the childhood pain that I was experiencing during that time, right? So when
Mhm.
you say that there were some influential women, that there was some good relationships there, um, that just so speaks to me, how
Mhm.
impactful the extended family can be when you are going through dysfunction in your own home, right?
Absolutely.
What would you tell mothers like to like maybe you can give some tips on mothers that are still carrying pain. How do we move forward and get better and heal?
So, as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I learned very early on was the know, like, and trust factor. With, your audience and being able to connect with people. But I take that a step further when it comes to healing, and that's know, like, trust, and accept. And I think that is a huge part of that journey. Um, a lot of times, as mothers, as women, we journey through life and we lose ourselves along the way. We also have very negative experiences that have us judging ourselves very negatively. And we often carry shame because of the experiences that we had. And one of the things that really helped me along my journey was just that, getting to know myself beyond my trauma, getting to like myself beyond the things that I had been through, getting to trust myself again because I lost self-trust because of the decisions that I made, and then finally get into a place that I can accept my past for what it was, get into a place where I can accept my flaws for what they are, and really learn how to love myself in that process. So, speaking to any mother, I would encourage them to get to know, like, trust, and accept yourself in this moment. Even
Yeah.
if you think you love yourself, the you of today is different from the you of tomorrow. And I think every part of our healing journey is being able to adapt to the changes that occur in our lives and being able to get back to that place, knowing, liking, trusting, and accepting ourselves.
Yes, yes, because I think you have to realize that you are not the bad things that happen to you. You're bigger than that, right?
Mhm,
Like all of us experience bad things that happen to us. A lot of times, hurt people hurt other people, and that includes children. And so, if you are around people who have pain and that haven't healed, that you might have been an object of that pain, right? But
mhm.
it wasn't about you at all. I guess that's what that I think for me on my own personal journey, similarly to you, right, with abuse and dysfunction in my home, I learned that it wasn't about me at all. And it was about my parents carrying pain that was unresolved and that they needed to heal that pain to be a better parent. And we have to heal it so that we can be better parents, right? We have to heal it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
don't take on the identity of the wounded, right? Because it was the wounded that wounded you, but take on the identity of who you truly are, right?
Hmm.
The magnificent, amazing person you truly are.
Hmm.
Is that
Absolutely.
yeah, right? You
Yeah.
embrace that, right?
I do. And
Exactly.
beyond that, it's that understanding, as I became trauma informed, I learned that trauma can be passed on through 8 generations. And if we really don't want our children to experience a life that we had, we owe it to them and ourselves to heal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So acceptance, you said, accept
Hmm.
yourself, right?
Hmm.
Embrace yourself. Don't live in the past, right? And keep moving forward, right?
Hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
I really want to know more about this disruptor. This is how we disrupt it, right? This is how we get out of survival.
Yes. So when I talk about accident survival, I say it happens in 3 steps. And the first step is awareness. We cannot change what we cannot see. And I liken awareness to a lighthouse. Um, Anyone that's grown up on a shore or have ever experienced a lighthouse, it's a rotating light that lights the sea for maybe 10, 15 seconds on rotation. But in that lightening of the sea, you see a path in front of you, you see what's around you, and it gives you the opportunity to change course so that you don't shipwreck or um, so that you don't harm yourself in any way. So when I think about awareness, particularly when we have been set in survival mode for quite some time, it gives us the opportunity to address the residual impacts that have kept us there, the survival identities that we might have picked up as a result of the trauma that we've experienced. The next step is reprogramming, changing the narrative, shifting the way that we think. Most people don't realize that we recycle 95% of our thoughts. So if we are never challenging that, we cannot move forward. We will always be stuck in yesteryear because we're literally in yesteryear in our heads. And that reprogramming allows us to shift our narrative and shift the way that we show up. And the last step is reinvention. In order to thrive beyond trauma, you have to let go of the survival identity that you had to assume in order to survive. It served you in survival. It will not serve you in thriving. So, a huge part of that healing process so that you can finally exit survival mode is letting go of the woman you became to survive and reinventing yourself into a woman who is ready to thrive. And the reason why I talk about this, the reason why I try my best to disrupt this space is we don't talk enough about the residual impact of trauma. We will say, oh, I'm a people pleaser, but that's part of my personality, unaware that people pleasing is a trauma response. Or I am an overachiever, but that's a part of my personality, unaware that overachieving is a trauma response. So I wanted to come into this space and really disrupt it in a way that opened up people's eyes so they got to that first step of awareness so that they can now focus on healing themselves because they are now aware of the things that are holding them back. And I think it's a very important conversation that we don't have enough.
I love that. I love that so much. It's because there's a reason why we behave the way we behave. So often, many times, if we want to change, we have to stop and say, okay, so why? Why am I doing this? Why
Mhm,
is this pattern repeating in my life? You know,
mhm,
like people showing up and then leaving me or whatever the pattern is, right? Um, uh, why do I not feel like I can give my opinion, right? Like all of these things that we're experiencing comes from a place where we weren't feeling safe, where we weren't feeling valued, right?
mhm.
That trauma that we experience shows up. So I love what you say about all of that. Oh, that's such a good conversation. I'm with you. I'm so with you. All right. I'm gonna do a little recap and then we're gonna uh let parents know where they can find you, Letitia. All right.
Absolutely.
So Letitia talked about her oh my gosh, amazing life story of survival, really, and the abuse, the molestation in her childhood, um, the separation of her parents, the impact of her father's words. All of this brought her to this ongoing saga of survival. And then in motherhood, she made a decision to change it all and did not want her children to experience what she experienced. So she became aware of it. And she learned about healthy relationships from her extended family, from her mom's side, uh, her her aunties and the strong women in her family made a big impact in her. And then she said for for mothers who are still carrying pain that uh, you need to be aware and change that identity, right? Because you're not that wounded person anymore. You're an adult and you can take ownership of your life and begin to change how you feel about yourself. And it starts with, we talked about the healing journey, right? It starts with awareness. We have to be aware of what we're doing that's continuing this survival cycle. And then we also have to shift our narrative, right? Letitia talked about shifting our narrative, that what we're telling ourselves about us and our identity so that we can move from survival to thriving. And um, we have to disrupt it and change it.
Mhm,
Change how we're feeling about it, change our actions, change our habits, but change ourselves. And in that process, we can move from survival to thriver in our lives.
mhm.
Is that good? Did I recap it?
Yes, ma'am, you did. And we're all here for thriving beyond survival.
Yes, thriving beyond survival. I love it.
Yes,
I love it. All right, Miss Letitia, please tell parents where they can find you. I know you're all over social media too, so maybe just you can give me all of your links and I'll put them on the show notes, but maybe just let parents know where they can learn more about you and your
absolutely.
book, your book.
Yes, yes, yes. So First stop, if you want to know a little bit more about me, is my website, LeticiaReneeFrancis.com, LeticiaReneeFrancis.com. There you'll get information about me, how I speak. I have a gift there that I'll share with you. I'll give you the link to that gift so you can share with your audience. It's a blueprint to accident survival mode, and you'll have the information about my book there. I don't sell it on Amazon. You can only get it exclusively through my website. Um, and you can connect with me on social media from there. The place that I spend most of my time is LinkedIn. Um, but yeah, connect with me on my website and it will give you all the information that you need,
Okay,
including my podcast.
fantastic. I'm going to put your links on the show notes, parents, so that you will be able to connect with Leticia. Leticia Francis, thank you so much. I'm so inspired by your life story and your work. I love it so much. And
Thank you.
so thank you so much. And parents, this is our time to thrive, not survive. So let's take action and move towards it and get help. Get help if you need it. We are here for you. All right. Thank you so much and take care, everybody. Thank you, parents, for joining the show today. I hope it was valuable and that you have some useful tools to use with your children. If this show blessed you or changed you in any way, I would appreciate a review on my podcast, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or perhaps you could even recommend our Masterful Parenting to your family and friends. Thank you so much, parents.